The floor now is to Nikola Dimitrov, Minister of Foreign Affairs of North Macedonia. The floor is yours.
Dear Mr. Prime Minister, dear Alexis, dear Yorgos, Minister Katrougalos, dear Nikos, former Minister Kotsias, Ministers, Excellencies, dear friends. I am slightly overwhelmed. I don't take this opportunity lightly. I really feel privileged, partly because I went to the Temple of Apollo today and I felt, I think in Greek it's the enthusiasmos, that helped the priestess to predict the future. And I am here to mostly talk about the future, but I will also talk about what we did and what we have achieved and why we chose the more difficult path, because the easier path was not to touch the problem. You can even score political points by using or misusing the problem. And many politicians from both sides of the border have done that in the past. What we did is essentially we spent political capital thinking about the future and trying to build something that is not easy to build internationally and definitely not easy to build in our region, which is friendship. And to do that, you have to build the trust. You have to understand the concerns, the pains, the desires of the other, to learn how to respect the other and take it from there. I really believe that, and we have suffered, I think Nikos and later on George as well, can witness to that. With Nikos in Sunio, near the temple of Poseidon, another temple, we contemplated whether we should follow the example of King Aegeus, who jumped off the cliff. But we resisted and we instead climbed up the rocks. I'm really privileged to speak in the birthplace of democracy. It may surprise some of you, but also before having any official position, I always felt welcomed in Greece, also as a youngster. Although I have to say that compared to my first visit, which was 14th of June 2017 in Athens, I think I have more friends here today after the Prespa agreement. And we will not start a second name dispute between Prespa and Prespes. It was not easy. You all know that. To resolve a problem that seems intractable, you have to be more stubborn than the problem. And you have to be very creative. You have to be very patient. Sometimes I compare what we did with the art of producing fine jewelry from silver, which takes a lot of patience and a lot of precision. But then the outcome is really nice and it's really good. Based on this mutual respect and a joint vision for the future of our region, and under the auspices of the leadership of Zoran and Alexis, or Alexis and Zoran, since I'm here, we managed to do this. We thought about the long term. We thought about what the people will benefit. And not for the glory of the political moment. So we thought more about the future generations and less about the next elections. I was witness to the praise that the two prime ministers received in Munich by the statesmen of the world. All nations in the Balkans are very proud of their history, and rightly so. but it is not often that we can be proud of what we have achieved in our time. And I have to be, and I'm completely honest with you, these are not empty words. It really felt special, a great sense of accomplishment, that we can be proud of what we achieved today, and the world to say the good news this year came from the Balkans. This is not something we are used to. And I really feel proud that I was part of this process. Although, when we do a good thing, credit goes to the prime ministers. When we mess it up, we take the blame. The future potential. 2 neighboring countries, 2 European countries living in the 21st century. What we did is now we are getting out of the trenches. And although we talk a lot about the name and the terminologies, we don't talk enough about the second part of the agreement, which is establishing a strategic partnership in issues that matter. I think the whole region faces the problem of our young talent looking for a happy life abroad. And we have to do, and I think we can make a difference if we focus on things that matter, on jobs, on how our hospitals are doing, how our schools are doing, how much we trade, how much we produce, and we would rather produce goods and services and export them than our young talent. And I think focusing on the sectoral cooperation, I welcome the first visit of Minister Nikos Papas, who pledged with our Minister Damian that they will work on decreasing the roaming charges so we can make cheaper phone calls and communicate. There was a high-level delegation from the foreign ministry. We discussed economy. Greece is our second biggest trading partner. Last year, we traded for about 1 billion euros. Our first is Germany with a big volume. We know that Greek business people are coming. They're looking for opportunities. 2 are in an advanced stage of making new investments. We will also cooperate in the field of security, which used to be, of course, unthinkable. There is nothing more natural for our 2 countries to be friends, to be close, to open up the future. And I am grateful to Prime Minister Tsipras, who didn't have to do this. And in recalling a famous sentence of another big statesman, Winston Churchill, who says, the price of greatness is responsibility. I think with how you treat your neighbors, especially those that are not as strong as you and not as big as you, is how it's telling on as to how big your nation is. And I think what you did made Greece a greater country. I need to wrap it up because I promised that I will keep in the 15 minutes. I think that we have a realistic perspective of all of us together in the region of accomplishing the vision that with the help of Greece was set many years ago in Thessaloniki, 2003, reaffirmed last year in Sofia, another European Western Balkans summit. If we focus on the things that matter, we will make this possible. I won't go, I have great quotations from state leaders, I will skip that. I will end with something that I read recently in Washington, D.C., which is an introduction to the Carnegie Report on the Balkan Wars, published in 1914, so 150 5 years ago. This is a French intellectual who is a Nobel Prize winner. And this is what he said, I quote, "The true culprits are those who mislead public opinion and take advantage of the people's ignorance to raise disquieting rumors and sound the alarm bell, inciting their country and consequently other countries into enmity. The real culprits are those who sacrifice the general interest to their own personal interest, which they so little understand, and who hold up to their country a sterile policy of conflict and reprisals. In reality, there is no salvation, no way out, either for small states or for great countries, except by union and conciliation." And I think this is what we did and made the first step with the Prespa agreement. I congratulate you, Mr. Prime Minister, the two ministers here, for your role in this and your leadership, and long live the friendship between Greece and North Macedonia. Thank you.